A game about digging a hole is a new game on PC where you dig a hole. I've been a fan of incremental games ever since Cookie Clicker, and I've been following the evolution of the genre for the past 12 years or so, and I'm also a huge fan of Powerwash Simulator, with it being by far my most played game since I started using Backlogged. I just love a tedious game where you slowly upgrade over time, and you most likely just listen to a podcast. And that's exactly what a game about digging a hole is. In this video, I'll take you through my 4.5 hour experience with the game, and even though it's on Steam, we will be getting all 10 achievements. 9 of them are generally just for completing the game, but we will then have to beat the game from scratch in under 30 minutes. We start off in our garden with the basic shovel, and when we click, we dig. This is a solo dev project, so as you can see, there is a little bit of jank to the game. I dug out this X and found my first piece of stone, which we can then take into the shed and sell for $1. Inside here, there's also a chest with 2 padlocks and a workbench. At the workbench, we can upgrade our shovel, inventory, battery, jetpack, recharge our energy, and our health. And once we have enough money, we can buy some dynamite and a lamp. I used my first dollar to refill half of my energy, and then we got back to work. After picking up our 3rd stone, our inventory filled up, and the 4th stone gets lost in the ether. So basically, every time you fill up your inventory, you want to sell your stuff as quick as possible so you don't waste any potential items. You also want to keep an eye on your battery, because once it runs out, you blow up and die. I got a little curious and I wanted to see how it worked for myself, and you respawn back at the start, you lose your inventory, and both your health and your energy start very low. By digging a little deeper, we find coal for the first time. All the different ore in the game function the exact same, except for the fact stone sells for 1 and coal sells for 2, and as you get deeper and deeper, the ore gets more valuable. We can now afford our first upgrade, and obviously I went for the better shovel. We're now digging a lot faster, but that means our inventory fills up even faster too. However, I just wanted the beeline for the shovel upgrades, so I kept going back and forth between the garden and the shed. Until eventually we could spend our $30 to get an even bigger shovel. And for the next while, the gameplay loop is set in stone. We go out, dig, come back and sell, sometimes we recharge our energy, and we keep doing this until eventually we can hold 6 items instead of 3, which means we can stay out for even longer. But now our battery is the thing that's pulling us back, so we upgrade that, which means again we can stay out for even longer. Instead of just making surface level pits, we start digging an actual hole in the corner. But the jumping is kind of janky, so we buy a jetpack to help us navigate it. Our inventory is still filling up super fast, so we double it so we can now hold 12 items. I continued to dig this big hole in the corner, and as it got deeper, we found another new material that sells for more money. And already, after only 12 minutes, we go from getting a maximum of $3 per dig to $29. I started having fun with my dig technique. Instead of just digging wildly, I wanted to see if I could dig out a shaft directly beneath me. 1, to get closer to the bottom more efficiently, and 2, honestly just because it feels good. We use our jetpack to get out, and after selling our stuff, we get right back in the hole. Obviously I do like the game just on a dopamine level, but it's not very fun, so you have to make your own fun along the way, most likely while you're paying attention to a podcast. Eventually my character got a little radar dish out, so we had to follow it. But first we took a quick shop break and got the 34cm shovel. Following the radar, we found a bag of $25, which honestly it was not as exciting as I was imagining. Let's get back to work. We dug lower and lower into this mineshaft, finding even more new materials, until I found a cave system, and I could not see a thing. It's actually a bit brighter on my recording, so you just have to believe me. I couldn't see anything other than the shiny ore. With a full inventory and a low battery, I had to find my way out, and I got lost. Every time I used my shovel, I was using up more and more of my jetpack fuel that I would need to get out safely. But thankfully, I did manage to find my original hole and just made it out. And because of all the new ore that we found, we managed to sell our inventory for $125. I could have bought a bunch of upgrades here, but I realised with another $125, we can get the next shovel. The shovel was huge now, so we just continued to dig and dig, slowly upgrading our inventory and our battery, while also getting a quick reminder to save our game. After creating quite a large hole, we had to buy a lamp from the shop just so we could actually see what's going on. You can place these on walls and they give out a circle of light, but they can be smashed. A more natural and cheaper way of getting light is just to create a massive hole all the way to the top. Something I haven't actually explained is every time I dig, I'm clicking, which means for the past 53 minutes I have just been clicking and clicking and clicking, which is why the game gets so much better when you get to $600 and you can buy the drill. Because now you can just click and hold. I don't know if I'm just going crazy by looking at this game for so long, but the way the textures deform and warp is actually quite nice to look at. After unlocking the drill, the game speeds up thematically and it also just gets easier to play. And the game gets even faster with the final shovel upgrade, and it now gets super easy to dig down with that mineshaft technique. As we got deeper and deeper, we found this cave with a chest in it. There's a handful of these in the game and they're not super useful, but they do give a nice boost. Especially getting all this dynamite for free. I found dynamite quite useless since it has such a small range, until I soon found out what it's actually used for. As you get deeper and deeper, you'll start finding big stones that can't be dug, and eventually you'll find volcanic stones that do damage to you on touch. You can either go around these stones, or use the dynamite in the way it's intended to blow them up. Just make sure you don't blow yourself up. Just after using our dynamite for the first time, the radar came out again, and we followed it for the first of 2 keys that we can use to unlock the chest in the shed. Down here, we're basically in the endgame now, and there's a ton of super valuable materials scattered about, which we were able to sell for 1.8k, and we unlocked padlock 1. With another huge sale, we fully upgraded our kit, and it was time to finish the game with some dynamite and lamps. Also, if you're wondering where the achievements are, the game makes a weird decision where it does stack the achievements in the background, but you won't actually unlock them until you hit the credits for the first time, so the achievements are coming. As we get to 100 meters, the floor starts leading us into the centre of the garden, until we fall into a cave system. In the cave, we'll find some moles, and we have to make our way through the labyrinth. I found this quite easy, and it just came down to sprinting away and getting lucky by choosing the right direction. And then the game loops, with another person coming to dig the garden. The story does absolutely nothing for me, but I do appreciate that the game actually has an ending. With our first playthrough finished, we've unlocked the achievements. I didn't actually realise that my recording software wouldn't record the achievement pops, but thankfully you can also see them in-game. We load up our completed endgame save, however the achievements can only be viewed in-game if you start from scratch. This is a weird decision, but whatever. Another weird decision is you can't actually quit to the menu while in-game, you have to close the entire application and open it again. I started a new save with a new garden, but first let's look at the achievements and work out what we have to do. There's 10 achievements, and on our first playthrough we got 1 for completing the game, and another 3 for wasting 50 ore, which is when you dig up ore with a full inventory, clicking to use our shovel 4,000 times, and digging up 100 stone. To get the rest of the achievements we have to fall for 4 seconds, throw 100 dynamite, earn $20,000, and your money does count over both playthroughs. We're starting this one at 13k. We have to collect 5 rainbow ore, which spawns randomly on your second playthrough onwards. We have to beat the game in under 30 minutes, bear in mind it took us 96 on the first go, and it isn't listed on this wall, but we need to find the 2 keys to unlock the chest. I played this game just after it came out, so there weren't many guides on it, and I was just kind of hoping I would find them. I do think it would be cool if there was some kind of prestige system here, but we start from scratch, so let's get back to work. And we may as well just try and knock out the speedrun now, or at least improve our time. I started off by digging as close to the shed as possible to save movement time, and I just started digging. Half an hour in, we had absolutely failed, and we're only at -40 when we should be at -100. This was mainly just down to playing too cocky and dying too much, and after this death, I decided to just pack it in. I gave up on the speedrun and decided this can be my 100% playthrough instead. In the pitch black we found our first key, and on the way up we found our 5th and final rainbow ore to get our next achievement. Then I started work on our massive hole to fall down for 4 seconds. I decided to start in the centre since that's the deepest part of the map, and over the next half hour I dug and dug, while upgrading our gear again, until I thought the hole was deep enough to fall for 4 seconds at the side here. I jetpacked all the way to the top to get the max height, and we're somehow only halfway there. Let's get back to it. And while digging this hole, we had now made a total of 20 grand. We now had a very deep hole, but because it was so tight, I kept hitting the side and breaking my fall prematurely, so we basically just had to make the hole slightly wider. And finally, we need to somehow fall for 0.5 seconds more. There we go. I then used the endgame ores to get a ton of money and bought a ton of dynamite, and got another achievement for using them 100 times. and now all we have to do is find the other key and beat the game in under 30 minutes. I looked for the key for a bit, but at this point it was 3 in the morning, so I went to bed achievementless. And the next morning I was feeling inspired to get the speedrun over and done with. I started the game when the timer was at 10 seconds, so we have until 30 minutes 10 to get to 100 meters below the surface. This time I started at the X, with the plan to just dig down until we get to the mole hole, and this worked well. Obviously your progression here is exponential, so at 5 minutes we were at 5 meters, 8 minutes in we were at 10 meters, but there was also a stone blocking our path, so we have to go around it until we can afford dynamite. 15 minutes in we were at 25 meters and had a bunch of upgrades, but it wasn't looking good because at 20 minutes we were still only at 30 meters. I tried to grab this chest for a boost, but I kept getting stuck on the walls. But because we were down this far, we got a lot of valuable materials, so we can now afford the drill. And this sped us up so much. I just went down and down and down, and I bought dynamite to get rid of any volcanic rock in the way. The dynamite is quite expensive, so I was saved when I found this cave along the way. However, I did get stuck again on the way out. With only 3 minutes left, I just had to go for it. I got to the bottom, and I had 1 minute 20 to finish the maze. It's the same map every playthrough, so I just have to go the exact same way I did last time. I'll be honest, I didn't actually know you could die, so now we have only 50 seconds to get back to the bottom and then complete the maze. With 13 seconds to finish the maze, it's over. We lost by the skin of our teeth. That was so close and I was quite annoyed at myself, so I thought, let's just grab the key and try again later. But for some reason, when I loaded the game back up, the achievement popped. You can't see the actual achievement in the recording, but you can see by my mouse movements how shocked I was that it popped. Looking back, I completed the game in 30 minutes and 55 seconds, so what I'm guessing happened is that the game rounds down your time to just the minutes. So you don't actually need to beat the game in under 30 minutes, you need to beat it in under 31 minutes. And that does mean I got the achievement with only 5 seconds to spare. And for the final achievement, we just have to somehow find those 2 keys. I saw a post on the forum that the keys are hidden at 20 meters and 40 meters next to the patio, so this shouldn't be too hard. I got to 20 meters quite quickly, and then I spent ages looking for a needle in a haystack. Eventually, I had hollowed out a whole area next to the patio, and I still hadn't found the key, which should be easy since the radar will pick it up. And after digging out the whole of the 20 meter level, I finally found one. And we're actually on the opposite side of the map. What I'm guessing is that when you start a map, the keys spawn at 20 and 40 on one of these 2 sides, so the forum post was half correct. Let's test that theory by standing where the key was and digging down until we get to 40. So it really was that easy. With the second key, we could now head up and grab our last achievement by finding out what's been in the chest the whole time. It's quite underwhelming. The dynamite upgrade is actually quite good, and I imagine might make the speedrun a bit faster if you aim to get the keys first. And I thought the teleporter would be useful, since you can skip travel time to get to the surface and not have to worry as much about your energy. But from what I can tell, it's one use, which makes it pointless. Instead of being a useful item, it's just a get out of jail free card. Overall, the game does fall a bit flat for me, but it is also a solo project that was made in like 2 weeks, and it is fun to see a game like this take over the internet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.